I'm Rodney A. Brooks. Welcome to RodneyABrooks.com. Today we're talking with Nick Abrams, who is a certified financial planner, and he is president of Opulentia.
Yeah.
You're based in Baltimore or?
Hunt Valley at north of Baltimore.
Hunt Valley North. So we're going to talk today about financial advice for young people. Okay, so let's talk about let's talk about student debt. You raised it a little bit. Okay, so when people are saving money, especially young people, student debt is higher than probably than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And it's actually I've seen the numbers. Student debt is higher with black students than it is with white students, and it's higher with black students from HBCUs than other black students.
Yeah.
And so, how much of an obstacle is that to creating a financial plan?
It's a huge obstacle. I've had people come into my office with over $200,000 of student loan debt. So you think of what the payment, that's a mortgage payment right there. I remember years ago I spoke at Howard University. A friend of mine asked me to come speak, and there was a young lady from Colorado, and she was a junior at Howard, and at that point in time she had over $90,000 in student loan debt. So it really is a huge option. What we have been talking to our clients about, have the honest conversation with your kids. And I'm speaking as a parent of a 10th grader. My wife and I had to have that honest conversation with our son as we're starting that process. I go, this is the number we're going to commit to. You can go over that number, but you're responsible. We're not going into debt. We're not changing our lifestyle. This is what we can comfortably afford to do for you. And so I think more parents need to have that conversation with their kids and look at the in-state option, but also look at, community college and then transitioning to a university or college. But then also looking at careers that, there are programs out there that if you work in certain public sector jobs that you get some of that student loan debt forgiven. Because it is a huge burden. I know we've got some forgiveness programs going on now. But one of the things is, like I said, if you've got 6 figures of debt, you're young, you want to enjoy your money, you want to travel, that's the time to do that. If you've got $1,000 to $2,000 a month student loan bill, that's going to really hinder you from doing any of those things. And really from a planning standpoint, it hinders us from making plans because you've got to get that debt out the way before you can really start going into other aspects of your life, like just retirement and investing, all the things that people want to plan for.
Okay, we're talking to Nick Abrams, certified financial planner. I want to talk about insurance because we've talked before about insurance, and you said black folks generally are underinsured.
Yeah.
And I think one of your quotes was, "We just get enough to bury
Just
ourselves."
enough,
Right?
yeah. That's all we want. Just enough, to put us in the ground nicely and have a repass, and that's it.
And that's a mistake.
It is. So when you look at one of the easiest ways to transfer wealth, Rodney, it's really through life insurance, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, the death benefit is tax-free. So everything else we've talked about, if you leave money in your 401k to your children or your spouse, there's a tax liability that comes at some point in time when they start withdrawing that money. And when you leave it to your kids, they have to transfer to what's called an inherited IRA, and they've got 10 years that they have to get that money out of the IRA. So you're losing wealth that way. Life insurance, like I said, you get the life insurance, the death benefit, it comes tax-free, and that's a way to build wealth. You can leave it for your spouse, your kids, grandkids, and really start building that wealth that way. And it's a tool that we use a lot with clients. We speak a lot about it because we believe in transferring that wealth, leaving the next generation better than the current one. And that's a tool that we've seen a lot of clients in other communities do very well, and it's something that we've got to start taking seriously.
Okay, so it sort of brings us to the big question of whole life versus term life. We've been involved with whole life for many years.
Right.
Um, so talk about the difference between whole life and term life
Sure.
and what you're recommending.
So term is temporary. It's cheap, it's inexpensive, and it's for usually 10, 20, or 30 years. We recommend that for the young couple starting out. You know, they've got the 2.5 kids, the dog, the brand new mortgage, so they have a huge need, but aren't in a place where they can substitute or have that need fulfilled with something permanent, a permanent coverage, whether it's whole life, universal, or one of those type of policies. So usually we start with term, and then we can graduate up to something that is permanent. I believe in both. I recommend both, and I sell both. I always get leery when people say I only do one or the other, because I ask them, are you really looking out for the client? Are you putting the client's best interest in yourself or yourself? Because every situation is unique. So when we sit down and work with a client, we have a blank slate, and we're saying, hey, sometimes term is the best need for that point. Sometimes something permanent is, or a mixture of both. Permanent policies have a couple of key factors to them that people use. One is the cash value, and it's really utilized. It can be utilized for anything, so it's not locked in for a certain number of years. If you've got a policy and you have cash value in it, you can access that cash value at any time. Whether it's, I've seen some people use it to help buy investment properties, some people use it to help with their kids for college, some people have used it as a retirement income source. So it's available to you if your policy is structured correctly. So there's no right or wrong type of insurance, but just understand that term will expire at a point in time. And so at that point, you have to get new policy, which you have to go through the underwriting process again, which factors on your health and age. Or if you get permanent, you take care of everything, you get the policy, and it's over and done with.
Okay, and you talked about multiple streams of income. So let's talk for a minute about guaranteed income for
Okay.
life, specifically annuities.
Yes.
Now, you're actually starting to see annuities inside
Yes.
401ks. So what's your opinion on annuities, and when should people, if you do recommend them, when should people start thinking about annuities?
So it's interesting. Annuities, for some reason, have gotten a really bad rap over the years. And it kind of goes back to when annuities were simply, you had a lump sum of money, you turned it over to an insurance company, and then they gave you a check for the rest of your life. That has evolved so much over the years. It's like, you know, the car. If you've got a 2001 Honda compared to a 2023 Honda, there's a big difference in the technology, the features, safety, and how it works. Same thing with if you look at insurance products or investments, they've changed and evolved over the years. Annuities are a great way to have another level of income that's guaranteed for your life, but it also can be structured that you have access to the money that's in your annuity. So whereas before you had to give up access to your money, now you can have access to your money and get that lifetime income, which is very pertinent when you look at planning. So yes, we do recommend annuities. Usually, you know, we start clients in their 50s. You know, it depends on where they are. That's a good age to kind of start getting into it. To start building that annuity up and building up that income stream, so when they're ready, they've got a nice monthly income coming in for them for the rest of their life. And you can also include your spouse on that as well. So it depends on the annuity company and the features, but there are a lot of more things you can do with annuities now than you could do 10, 20 years ago.
Okay, let's go back and talk about the financial planning process.
Okay.
Somebody comes into your office, or
Yeah.
somebody calls you and say, okay, I need a financial planner. Okay, and you know, I don't know what you do. I just know I don't know what to do with my money.
Right.
So where do we start?
So first is really an introductory meeting, just to kind of find out. Because some people aren't yet ready for us as a financial planner. So it really depends on what their situation is. So let's say it's a perfect world. Hey, they're at the right place. Everything is aligned up, and they are ready for us. The first thing is we have our introductory meeting just to talk. And we're talking about my background, my company's background, my team that I have in place, because they're going to be dealing with different members of our team. But also talking about them. What are their goals? What are they really trying to accomplish? And that can be one of the most difficult parts of the whole process, just trying to understand what a client is looking for, because you can't put a plan in place if the client doesn't have their goals and aspirations in their mind or written down somewhere. So we do our introductory process. Client says, hey, we're good, let's sign on. Then we start gathering their information. And like everybody else, people have information here, they got it there, you got to try to find this. So we work with them to help them put together all their information, and that's where our team really goes to work to analyze, to see, hey, what they have, and if what they have is good, or if that needs to be tweaked some, and what new, investments or strategies we might need to put in place.
Well, break down information. Okay, so you want to know what they're spending.
Everything. I want to know the spending, income, what investments they currently have. So that's whether they're 401k, any IRAs, brokerage accounts. I want to see tax returns. Just see, hey, tax return tells us a lot about a client, believe it or not. We want to look at the insurance policies. So just kind of Social Security statements, pay stubs. So just everything to really get that financial background on a client. That's really key for us to have.
And then you write a financial plan?
Yeah.
So, okay.
After we have all that information, we put a draft together, and we sit down and walk through and say, hey, this is what we see. And that's always a good meeting, because sometimes we might see something one way and the client says, well, no, this was meant to be this. And so that's really one of our longest meetings. It's a lot just the back and forth of going through the numbers. And then once we know that we've got everything in place, we put together the final written plan. And then at that point, it's time to look at the implementation of it. So it might be, establish a Roth IRA. It could be looking at increasing your disability insurance, getting a long-term care policy, investing, setting up a brokerage account and investing X amount of money there. So it just really depends. And the fun part is each client is different. And I'm the least artistic person, I think, on earth. But when it comes to the finance and doing a plan, that's where I become an artist. Because, you really just have to think of what works for the client. And also the key is really understanding, when you're making recommendations, what makes the client tick, and what you think, okay, this will work for this particular client. And you look at another client and say, no, they're not going to, we have to restructure it differently because it's not going to resonate with them. So that's the fun part of it.
Okay, now we're talking about the plan. Let's talk about people coming into your office. Okay, let's talk about couples.
Okay.
Okay, and the importance of both spouses being involved in the plan, right?
In the perfect world, you want both spouses.
Okay. Now, I actually saw a survey of millennials and Gen Zers that said some huge percentage, maybe 30%, did not know what the other spouse was earning. Now,
that could be any generation.
but the importance of spouses being involved in this process together.
So like I said, Rodney, in the perfect world, we would like both spouses to come in and sit down with their information and talk. It doesn't always happen, and you have to navigate that. And the plan can only be as good as the information that the advisor has. So some people say, look, I want to keep my stuff separate, and you do a plan for me, and I'm perfectly good with that. And sometimes we have to do that. But definitely we do encourage having both people there because we like to have that family unit. And there can be a myriad of reasons why we don't. Sometimes one is planning to make an exit, so they want to kind of get their plan straight before they make that exit. That happens. And there's sometimes where a couple, hey, we've just I do my thing, they do their thing, and that's how it's worked for 20, 30 years, so I'm not going to upset that at all.